for my man. Born and bred in sleepy Clinton, Illinois, Amanda Walston is a hometown girl learning to navigate her tumultuous family life.
She was approximately 4 years old when her parents got divorced, and her mother remarried. Her new husband wanted to adopt Amanda, and Amanda's biological father just gave up his rights to her.
Even though Amanda's father, from what we know, was trying to do the right thing, Amanda didn't see it that way. To her, it was a real slap in the face. It was a rejection. It was a resounding voice in her head that said, I don't want you.
I'll leave you alone.
The youngster guards her heart by turning her back on those closest to her. But as Amanda enters her teenage years, she finds she can't hide from her peers.
She was 5'10", which is very tall for a female, and she was pretty thin. And she was constantly teased by her peers at school, from grade school all the way up through high school.
Have a nice day.
They called her Stork, they called her Olive Oil, Pelican. And I know that hurt her, quite a bit, and I was trying to stick up for her.
Each barb weakens her emotional armor, and teenaged Amanda acts out.
She started to hang out with a different crowd of kids who were actually using drugs and partying all night.
And at these all-night bashes, she's getting a different kind of attention from the opposite sex.
Because Amanda was willing to go further than perhaps some of the other girls when it came to sex, she became more of the object of attraction to the young men in her social circle.
Her mom spends many nights roaming the streets of Clinton searching for her daughter, sometimes even calling the police for help.
Amanda's mom already was in a quandary as to what to do about Amanda, and Amanda's downward spiral was perhaps capped off by her dropping out of high school 3 months before she was supposed to graduate.
It was shocking to her mother that she would go throughout school and then all of a sudden abruptly stop for no apparent reason.
I'm not going back!
The rebellious antics continue, and when Amanda is 20, Mom decides she's had enough.
I want you out!
So she did what some parents do, which is to kick her out of the house
Do this! It's done, you get it?
because she felt she had to teach her a lesson.
No! It's it!
Now out on her own, she survives by working as a waitress, and through friends, she meets a man named Arnold
What I
Ham.
miss?
She thought he was a really great guy, and they just took off, and she was happy.
Amanda's sure he's her Prince Charming, and the next year they make it official with a trip to City Hall. Soon after, she learns that their family is growing.
When she found out she was pregnant, she was really excited. I know that she really wanted a baby. And I was so happy for her.
With motherhood on the horizon, she vows to let go of her partying ways and focus on being the best parent she can be. And when their little boy, Christopher, is born a few months later, the couple is overjoyed. But during what should be the happiest time of their lives, their marriage is fraying.
The relationship with Arnold ended pretty quickly. Right after she gave birth, it didn't really last too much longer. She ended up getting a divorce and moved on.
Now that she's back on the market, Amanda is quick to fall in and out of love, and after 3 years, she has 2 more children with as many men. First is another boy who she names Austin, and then a baby girl named Kylie. But Amanda becomes vindictive when lasting romances with the fathers of her little ones don't work out.
She would keep the kids from them. It was totally unfair.
I didn't want to be in a relationship with her. Then she turned south on me. I didn't even know my daughter was born until 2 days afterwards.
Holding her baby so close means the 26-year-old shoulders the financial weight of raising 3 kids alone.
She landed a job at a mass mailing company, and she was able to get a public housing apartment for low-income families.
She's not looking for someone new, but when a handsome coworker cozies up to her at the office, she has no trouble jumping back into the dating pool.
Hi.
He introduces himself as Maurice Legrone. The 27-year-old is a transplant from St. Louis, Missouri.
Maurice Legrone was very friendly, very charming. He was a very sociable guy.
He was very attractive to Amanda, and she fell for him right off the bat, and he for her.
Things get hot and heavy so quickly that Maurice moves in with her and the kids just 2 weeks after meeting.
Amanda thought she had struck gold. Here's a guy who was paying attention to her, but also paying attention to the kids, too.
But not everyone in Amanda's close circle of friends is happy about their fast track to romance.
She always asks me, what do you think about him? And I'm like, I don't like him. I don't think he's it.
Amanda will learn on her own that inviting Maurice into her home is the worst mistake of her life and the lives of her children.
She will stop at nothing to make sure that relationship lasted forever, even if that was without her children.
After years of failed relationships, in Clinton, Illinois, 26-year-old single mom Amanda Ham has finally found her match in new boyfriend, 27-year-old Maurice Lagrone. After 2 whirlwind weeks, he moves in with Amanda and her 3 children.
Amanda was enamored by him, and she was intensely, deeply head over heels in love with him.
With their challenging childhoods, the two share a common bond.
His mother was a cocaine addict, and she didn't take really good care of him. In fact, he bounced around from house to house, living with different relatives.
Over the next year, they live together, and he becomes a pseudo-stepfather to 6-year-old Christopher, 3-year-old Austin, and little sister Kylie, who is months from her 2nd birthday.
Amanda was overjoyed when Maurice volunteered to watch her children, but his parenting skills were no better than what he had experienced in his own home with his mother, and so he didn't have the foundation to take care of Amanda's kids in any productive kind of way.
It was a chance to stay home all day, smoke blunts, play video games, and pretend to care for the 3 children. He didn't want to work.
It's like, man, I can smell pot. I know it. Don't do it around the kids. Those kids need to be protected, and that's not the environment they need to be in.
To top it off, he is completely annoyed by the tiny trio and complains incessantly about how they are cramping his style and the type of relationship he longs to have with his girlfriend.
They were a burden on him and an interference with his party time.
Maurice wanted all the attention from Amanda, and he couldn't get it, all the attention that he needed from her because the children were in the way.
To show his disdain, he intimidates them when she's not at home.
At least one occasion, he even admitted that he stuck their heads in an oven and pretended to turn the gas jets on. But he didn't, and that terrified the boys.
Maurice had told Amanda that he was just horsing around with the kids.
Put your head down!
You don't need a PhD to figure out this is very abusive behavior.
When the fathers of the kids confront her about Maurice's scary stunts, Amanda just sees them as part of his jokester ways.
It pissed me off. Pardon my language, it made me mad. And she wouldn't do anything about it. I knew something wasn't right, so I was trying to get custody of my daughter.
That summer, Maurice announces that he's ready to move back to his hometown of St. Louis, and he wants Amanda to come and continue their journey together. Amanda is thrilled, but there's just 3 problems.
Why not my kids?
Those kids are in the way, and they weren't his, and he just wanted he and Amanda to have the good time. No way could those kids come with them.
While it seems like a strange request to make of a single mom, Amanda is desperate to have a fresh start in the big city with the man she loves, so she considers the proposition.
Amanda responded by asking her mother if she could take custody of her children.
Her mother told Amanda, I can take Christopher, but your younger ones need to be with you. You're their mother.
I love my grandchildren.
She scoffs at her mom's offer, but is now at a loss about how to make this move a reality. And allowing the fathers to take the kids is not an option.
The kids' dads wanted something to do with their kids, and she wouldn't allow that.
I told her, you know I'm trying to get custody of Kylie, and I know Christopher's dad would have taken him in a heartbeat. She kind of just shrugged it off and didn't really care.
Because of her own anger with these fathers. She felt that if these guys didn't want her, then they couldn't be with their kids. period.
By the end of the summer, Amanda hasn't found a solution, and Maurice is getting more and more fed up with the fact that this bothersome detail is holding them back.
At this point, Amanda was very much in love with Maurice, and she would have done anything to keep that relationship going.
The pressure is on to get their relocation plans underway, and Amanda is eager to please her man. But then, it's as if fate steps in. On a warm September evening, Amanda and Maurice decide to treat the kids to some quality time.
They went to the diner there in Clinton, had dinner, and after they got done, Maurice wanted to take a drive out to the lake.
When they arrive at Clinton Lake, an hour later, a 5,000-acre reservoir known for fishing and water sports, Maurice parks nose first on the west side boat ramp, about 2 feet from the water.
While there, they got out and played for a little bit.
After some fun by the shore, they all pile into the sedan, and the kids settle in for the ride home.
Once everyone buckled in, instead of the car being backed up away from the lake, away from the water, it went forward towards the water.
The children begin to panic as they realize what they thought was another one of Maurice's pranks is a very real situation. The car is being swept further away from the shore, with the family trapped inside.
Maurice and Amanda got out of the car as water was entering.
The sedan sinks as they make their way to dry land.
The fight response would have instructed her that I can save my children. That sense of urgency never really took place in the hearts of Maurice or Amanda.
Christopher was up in the back ledge behind the back seat looking at her.
And later, in Wilkesboro, North Carolina, 15-year-old April Barber will stop at nothing to be with her true love, even if it means setting her whole world on fire.
It wasn't an option to walk away from the man that she believed she loved. If you want to talk about a 180-degree turn, that's when everything goes wrong.
Clinton, Illinois single mom Amanda Ham and her boyfriend Maurice Lagrone are sitting front and center as her car rolls into the town lake with them and their 3 children inside it. In the heat of the moment, the couple jump ship and wade to safety.
The children weren't out of the car. They were drifting deeper and deeper into the water.
On shore, Maurice holds Amanda and tells her there's nothing they can do.
How could you sit there and look at your kids in the back window and him crying and beating on the window and not do anything?
She's been so manipulated that she can't allow her maternal instinct to kick in. To watch her children being submerged into that water in that way, her judgment was clouded as to how quickly she should act.
Only after the car is fully submerged does Amanda go to a payphone just yards away to dial 911.
911, what is your emergency? I can't drive my car. I'm telling what is to the left. I need help. Ma'am, you need to calm down for just a minute. The kids are underwater and the car's drowning.
Dispatch sends police and ambulances racing to the scene.
A couple of them went right on into the water, got all 3 children out of there within 2 minutes and had them back up on the shore.
The car was in only 4 feet of water. It didn't make any sense to investigators that both of them couldn't have just gone into the water and saved the children.
Amanda watches as their limp bodies are handed to EMTs, who immediately begin CPR. Then, each of her babies is put into an ambulance headed for the hospital, not knowing whether they will live or die. Maurice explains to the officers that it was all a freak accident, but things just aren't adding up.
According to Mr. Lagrone, he tried to back it up and rev it and back it up, but the more he did, the wheels spun, and eventually the car just floated on into the water.
He said the electronic locks didn't work and therefore couldn't get the kids out, but the first responders stated that they had no problems opening up those doors and there wasn't an issue with the locks.
Amanda tearfully agrees with his story.
Amanda went along with the story that it was an accident because in some ways, That's probably what she wanted to believe.
Meanwhile, news of the children submerged in the car travels fast through close-knit Clinton, and friends and family converge at the medical center.
I got a phone call, and it was Amanda screaming on the phone, "Something happened, something happened." And I said, "Well, where in the hell are you at?" She said, "A hospital. Something happened to your daughter."
Before I'd even seen Amanda, I seen Austin's dad come through the double doors. And I was like, "They're okay, right?" "They're okay, tell me they're okay." And then I was like, no, and I felt this weakness in me.
After trying to resuscitate both 6-year-old Christopher and 3-year-old Austin for nearly an hour and a half, emergency room doctors pronounced the boys dead. The trauma was also too much for 23-month-old Kylie.
I went in her room, and they brought her back in there, put her in my arms. She in my arms. And the doctor came in with the stethoscope, pronounced her dead in my arms.
The deaths send shockwaves through the community, and Amanda checks herself into a psychiatric facility. And when detectives take a closer look at the scene of the drownings, they find that the couple's account of the ordeal doesn't make sense.
They found absolutely nothing, no marks at all, no rubber had been peeled on the boat ramp. And they also checked Amanda's car tires. There was no indication that they had been spinning on a ridged surface.
3 weeks after the incident, while she's being treated for severe depression and free of Maurice's influence, Amanda's version of events begins to change from that of an accident to something much more sinister.
She told the police that was his plan, and she doesn't know why she went along with it, but she did. And she just wasn't strong enough to stand up to him.
Amanda is discharged from the hospital 2 weeks later, but she has nowhere to go.
Her mother didn't want to take her in because she didn't feel good about what happened with her grandchildren, believed that Amanda had more to do with it than what she was actually possibly telling.
When she tries to reach Maurice, she finds he's moved back to St. Louis without telling her. Utterly alone, she takes up residence in a homeless shelter in neighboring Bloomington, gets a job waiting tables, and begins the arduous process of rebuilding her life. But investigators are building their case, and 2 months later, she gets the next surprise.
The police arrived at the shelter and arrested her for 9 counts of murder, 3 for each child. Maurice was apprehended in St. Louis, and he was charged with the same counts.
2.5 years after the drownings, Maurice is first up to face the judge, and his once loyal girlfriend is nowhere to be found.
I thought the jury wanted to hear from the mother of the children who were dead, and she just refused to go against her man.
Maurice maintains innocence and described the entire event as an accident.
Despite his apologetic testimony, he is convicted of first-degree murder with a sentence of life without parole. When it's her turn, Amanda doesn't testify, but her lawyers maintain that it was all a horrific series of unfortunate events. Amanda is found guilty of the lesser charge of child endangerment.
The jury found that she participated in some fashion in the death, in that she didn't do enough to stop their drowning, that she didn't interfere.
She is sentenced to 10 years in prison, the maximum allowed. But it's little comfort to the fathers of the children.
It felt like a punch in the stomach. And I just fell on my knees and started crying. That's it? That's it?
Amanda Hamm is released on parole 19 months later, and after 2 more years, she is let go from the system and is said to have paid for her crimes. But many in Clinton are not ready to forgive and forget.
Post-jail, Amanda seems to have come to her senses, understands that she could have done much more in trying to save the lives of her children.
It was clear that Amanda made a choice, and it wasn't a choice to be a mother and take care of her children. It was a choice to be with her man.
She would go to extremes for a man. It's terrible, but that's what she did.